Yo, what is up everyone and welcome back. We have Marvel's Spider-Man 2 by Insomniac. Let's talk about it. My name is Kenkukun. I have 100% of the game. Welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy this review. So we're going to have non-spoilers for the most of this, but then we're going to have some spoilers about this, where I talk about the story and missions towards the end, right? And we'll have both of those at the end. So we'll start with non-spoilers, and then we'll start with light spoilers. So first, let's talk about the world. So there's not much to talk about the world other than the world is twice the size and it's big. There's also not as much life as you would think going through the world. You see traffic moving, you see people walking, but other than that, nothing else is really like saying, hey, the city's live and bustling, right? You're just kind of swinging through the city, so I'm a little bit disappointed in that. Not only that, but they decided to like veer away from Spider-Man's interaction with the cops. And from a Universal standpoint, I think that was a poor decision because it's like peanut butter and jelly. They go hand in hand. You really can't have one without the other. So I thought that was a very poor decision. I have my suspicions as to why they did that. And, I think it's just dumb that they did it anyway. But even from my suspicion, just from a Universal standpoint, from the character's universe, it just didn't make sense. So now I can't talk about the world without talking about traversal. And the wing glider was introduced into this game, and it's a lot of fun. Moving through the city is very fast, very free. I felt like I didn't need to fast travel at all, so that was very, very good. But with me needing to not have to fast travel through the game and swing through, I could cover, like, let's say I wanted to go across the river that separated the islands, I could do that, right? And what's good is they've done everything in their power to make it feel like you don't have to stop, or they're not going to stop you, right? You're moving through the city. You don't have to choose where you have to move. So, if you hit the water, you'll start skating across the water, which is very nice. Then they also brought in a setting for web swinging aim assist. Now, web swinging aim assist, that covers physics essentially, right? If you want more physics, you want more bumpiness, you want to feel like you're being pulled as you swing through the city on your web, or maybe bump into buildings and stuff like that, right? I make it sound horrible, but it's just for more immersion for swinging. If you have that at default, it's going to be the scalar slider is going to be at 10, and you're just going to swing straight as an arrow in most scenarios. You won't have to really do anything. But if you don't want that straight as an arrow, you can go down to 0 and bring it more in line for Treyarch. Now, they brought this setting into the game because some fans said that swinging was too forgiving and too easy, too free, right? It didn't feel real, right? So for immersion's sake, they brought the setting in. Now, people that don't want to deal with that can, and the people that do want to have that immersion can. I put mine at 5, and I feel like that's a nice spot for me. I do like a little bit of immersion in my game. So that was a very good touch for me. Now, let's talk about the skill tree suits and stuff like that. There's not much to talk about. There's a lot of suits. You unlock them as you play the game. Some are locked to stories. Some are locked to side activities. You get materials. You spend materials to unlock the suits. And then some suits come with their own color palettes. Now, briefly, as I talk about the suits, the digital deluxe version. No suit has a passive ability. It doesn't do anything extra, right? So, with that said, like, there's no reason to get the digital deluxe version unless you really want to support Insomniac or you really like the suits that are offered in there. And they show you what those suits are. When I went to pre-order it, I could see exactly what the suits were. I got the digital deluxe, but I wish I would have saved the extra $10 because, the suits don't do anything extra. They're just visual cosmetics, and I could have done without them. Just because a lot of the suits for Spider-Man, particularly, and for Miles, out of those digital deluxe versions, I didn't care for the styles too much. So I was just like, it's something I could have done without with. So if they would add cooler styles that I would have liked personally, then I would have been like, you know what, it's either or. But it's either or still, right? You can either get the digital deluxe or you don't need the digital deluxe. And then we're going to talk about the suit upgrades. The suit upgrades just cover your health, your strength, your focus, and your traversal, and that's pretty self-explanatory. Each tree goes down, and it just makes not only just like the values of your health stack go up, right, but there are things that allow you to heal with certain, it'll split off and it'll give you an option. Do you want this or the other? And some of them are to heal one way, or one is to heal the other way. I think one is like every 10th hit you heal, or every time you shoot people with your web shooters you heal up a bit. Spoiler alert, the web shooters are probably the way to go for healing. You'll be able to shoot those off more freely than hitting a 10-hit combo, like, you know, just faster, right? Getting a combo isn't hard in this game. And then we have the skill tree. Well, we have the gadgets. Before I talk about the skill trees, we have the gadgets. There are 4 gadgets in the game, and once again, you get them, you unlock them, you level them up, and you just make them more powerful. There's really not much to say. You know, your standard tried and true, you know, equipment menu or equipment options, right? They do give you the skill trees now, and the skill trees are, you know, just another it's just the same old. Once again, not much to talk about. There's 3 skill trees. There's one for Peter and Miles. Now, Peter and Miles' skill tree will focus on things that they both do naturally, right? So like they both traverse through the city, so they're going to have things that allow you to traverse through the city easier, stuff like that. And then they have skill trees for Peter and Miles. And skill trees for Peter and Miles, they both work around unlocking more abilities for you to use, and then focus on making those abilities better, or different versions of those abilities will be unlocked throughout the game, and then you will upgrade those abilities through their respective skill trees. So that's very nice. So outside of that, we would talk about combat after I talked about the skills. The combat, I feel like, is just lacking a little bit. And I said it in my first impressions video. I did a little short on it, and I said I'm not sure if the combat's gonna be what I want it to be, and the combat was just missing just some polish, right? I felt like the combo was just square, 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 or I knock an enemy in the air and I square, 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 and I'm just like, I wanted a little bit more polish and fluidity, right? I wanted to feel more like combos, and less like I do a string of attacks into another string of attack, into another string of attacks, right? It just, I don't know, like, I guess it's just a me thing, but I think combat, you know, with all the options to combat felt a little bit lacking, kind of like Final Fantasy 16, which I think combat was the biggest blunder of that game. But before I go off and derail on that topic, the stealth combat, outside of, well, let's say when I'm free roaming, 100% of the game, and I'm free roaming through the city, and I'm doing just regular crimes. The stealth combat, you really gotta like find very specific opportunities to do stealth. Now, I'm not saying every crime should have an option for stealth, but I would like to be able to employ a little bit more stealth where I want, right? There's no real there's no real joy from that. Granted, you know, I could just go down and start swinging on people, but I do like to take things stealthy here and there. And I felt like outside of, you know, the combos and the combat having a lot of options and the open combat being fine, the stealth combat was fine too. It's just I found less places to use it. Once I 100% of the game and I started swinging around and just swinging around and seeing, you know, what it was like just to do like criminal activities and what other gems I could do. While I was 100%ing the game for like the trophies, I just, you know, I was missing stealth combat. So I want it to be an option, not a necessity, right? So I kind of missed that. So now we're going to talk about side missions and stories. We're going to have the non-spoiler version first. The side missions are fun. Most of them are good and they hit the mark. Some of them I could have done without, but I understand why they are there. Most of the side missions I enjoyed, right? I didn't have a problem with the story. The story is action-packed. It's short, but it feels like it's long. It felt like I was going through a very long journey. So for as short as it was very fulfilling for me. Now, if this story shows up in like the comic books or anything like that, I could not tell you. I'd never really read too many Spider-Man comic books outside of like Civil War or Avengers and stuff like that, way back in the day. And then, you know, like the old Spider-Man cartoon I've seen, right? So if this story plot is anywhere else, like specifically, right, and it's deviated, I could not tell you, you know, you will like it as a fan, or it's going to deviate and you might not like it. I cannot say. But I know that I enjoyed the story a lot. There were, you know, the out of They were the out of suit moments that we enjoyed, and that was a lot of fun. Now I'm gonna jump into the light spoilers, and there's not really. Oh, before. Well, there's a huge plot hole. I will say this, and this is a small light spoiler. So if you want to stop here, I understand. Peter takes off his mask far too frequently in the game in Oscorp buildings, like security cameras don't exist. And that's really all. Like, I could rant on that for like 10 minutes, but I won't. I disliked that. I hated that. I hated seeing that too frequently and too often. I thought it was a very poor decision. So as far as the story goes and the side missions, there were side missions that, you know, side characters came back from the older game, and you know, it was their time to move on. Like the guy that had the pigeons. Oh man, that was a tearjerker. There was another one, with a grandfather and a granddaughter, and he, you know, the grandfather wandered off and reminisced about his, you know, his late wife. It was very touching. There were definitely some heartwarming stories in there, and then, you know, and that's what Peter, like Peter, I had Peter come across those stories because Peter or Miles could come across it. There were Miles specific side stories where he'd want to run high school and do some things, and it felt more like young Miles things, you know. So that was very good. Some other characters make a comeback, like what is it, Wrath or Wraith? I forget her name. I really don't remember her name, but she's out here fighting the flame. So that's very cool. Oh, we get to play as Venom. So I guess light spoilers aside, yeah, you get to play as Venom, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's nice, you know. And I was hoping to like get to play as Venom at the end game, right, and be kind of like the villain in the city, but no, we couldn't do that. So outside of that plot hole, I think the story was action-packed. Again, it revolves around. I feel like it revolves more around Spider-Man, and Spider-Man more towards Peter than Miles, and you know, they're both trying to find balance in the game. It starts off with that in the beginning of the game, where you know, Peter's trying to have a normal life, but then stuff goes down and he can't. So you know, everything starts to go south with him in that way. It's heavy on Kraven in the beginning. I almost forgot Kraven existed, but Kraven was done very well. I like Kraven. I like what Kraven did. I was concerned with him taking out so many of the villains right as he hunted them. He's to the death. So as he was taking out villains, I was concerned there wasn't going to be a sequel. I'm like, what is going on? And then it shifts into Venom. And Venom, I've always liked Spider-Man versus Venom. It's very nice. There is more to it because it's gonna jump into more symbiotes, and I'll leave it at that, which is very, very cool. And that's really all I gotta say about the story. It was short, but it was impactful. I really enjoyed it. I don't have many bad things to say about the game, so hopefully this helped make your decision, or you just wanted to hear my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. Leave a thumb up on the video, or thumb it down if you didn't like it, and let me know in the comment section below. What did you like? What didn't you like about the video? Or we could just talk about the game. What did you like about the game? What would you like to see going forward? Is there anything you can think of that they can make Traversal even better than what it is? And that's it. My name is Kenkukun. Enjoy your night, evening, morning, whatever it may be. Peace out, and I'll see you all next time.